Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Colin Dawson with the Political Minute. I know it's been some things that aren't really that great, or whatever it is, haven't set the logo or whatever for it and everything else, but just insane here with everything from yesterday. I was up until about 6, 7 a.m. this morning. It was an interesting situation off of it. They're saying that unto this, I think, civil war and it being made public to the world, what we call civil war, and basically saying that it's a foreign national power entity that can somehow mesmerize or take through the power of religious enslavement. Kind of like how they say with a suicide bomber is underneath a certain ayatollah or cleric. That's really what our First Amendment means under freedom of religion. Now, I'm not going to agree totally with this Democratic representative from New York that was on Fox News that said if they were black people doing that, they'd have all been shot. Now, I can sit there and look at all of this and say, yes, this person should have shot this person, this person, and this person. He had his gun on him. He had lost his nightstick. If his nightstick was there, from what I was told, you only draw your nightstick if it's 50-50. Basically, that means there's a guy or a girl and there's you. You are not, with any training, better than one person, two people, three people, or anything else. You may be that, but that's still this, one on one. And if there's a dog or anything else that's a biological animal, it's too much of a wild card. You can't deal with that. Draw your gun. The push through that they all did, that they're locking their arms, kind of like, and leaving their arms when they're locked. You cannot go back down for your weapon, mace, taser, or anything. Those are so many guns that they can get out, and for 48 hours, you've got almost free reign to go and kill anybody if you pull them off of it. It could have been way worse. Just a small minor clips that they're showing, that is absolutely ridiculous. Now, they did show the automatic tear gas suppression system that was used. It's a fogger system, so to speak of, with everything. Just insane with everything else. And yeah, you can see whatever it is we got to have up here for, being legal in this, area. I don't really care. It is illegal not to have a Christmas tree somehow in your whatever. And I think Orthodox Christianity Christmas is on the 7th. So it's here. It's legal. No more broken windows like whenever I was 1.5 or 2. With everything being said and moving along from this, which no one's ever going to back me over, even the neighbors, if they're still alive. This is just a little bit of ridiculousness and everything else with it. Facebook and Twitter keeping the president from doing, having anything that he wants to put out, as that he may not be able to put out his stuff or anything else, but he still has the right to use any type of media out there. The Senate should convene as quickly as possible and censor the president on what he needs to be censored with. I mean, this is just playing more into the hands of Donald Trump. If you're really going to be like, Donald's down, he's out. You're not following the thing out there, and it's kind of like this. You're trying to use a nightstick or lock your arms when you need to either be pulling your nightstick, pepper spray, or else at least pulling out a gun. Putting up the proper barriers. You are not doing what is required under the law. And since he went to a military high school, which, yes, is for people who do bad sexual fornications, do drugs, and do the fisticuffs, because all military people be mental in the head like football players and stuff. They're smarter than you on these subjects right now, and you don't know the law. You just go, I look like I could have been abused by a person who should be drawing Social Security by your own words in a mental mush-eating hospital at 65, which he is well over. People could say the exact same thing about you all. But Nancy Pelosi was a cheerleader who beat people up and cut their hair off, and she just slept with the principal, and the others did oral sex and still got suspended. Come on, there's not really anything else other than that's what people look at you all as and say what it is, or else go, well, Rand Paul always gave 10% in front of everybody at the congregation plate and fanned out his money and paid in cash because he wanted to show he had it and he wasn't a check tither. I know that only makes sense in the South, but you know somebody said it. And with everything there, people had a right to protest. Donald Trump lost this case in the Supreme Court and couldn't send in the National Guard. So the president had no ability to even send Secret Service other than those that were already assigned, unless the Secret Service said their life was in danger. Then they would get reinforcements per the detail that was there, per an assessment. The mayor of Washington, D.C. controls all National Guard to be sent there and the Security Council. They have a right to protest. Donald Trump lost this, has to ask permission to send in anything anywhere except to his residence. He played into his hand completely. It may be no real victory, but the only thing he was doing was going, the military does not recognize the new president until he is sworn in. And you're going to see something really amazing, really major, really cool out there on this, which is, I'm not going to do anything. At no time did he ever say exactly to do this. We may all want to arrest the environmental liberation group that blew up all those places and cost people their jobs and moved car manufacturing to Mexico and places, because they'll shoot them for using rhetoric there at a legal firing squad. You know, like they do in Colorado or Wyoming now, again. Simply because it's considered terrorism. And it's considered a political instigation of violence against the well-being and good of the government in Mexico. We don't have that because we have expanded freedom of speech. Now you can say it's very close on what that guy does and Donald Trump going, this is the highway you built for me. It may be down to 2 lanes, but you're still being funneled into his hand. Not saying I'm not against his hand and with your hand also in this. This is the thing everybody does. It's like if you sit there and you can look at both sides of the team and, you know, you're West Coast, he's East Coast, and it's like this. I'm really just saying, you know, I like soccer and football, and we're at a basketball game because I like my dad. I figured enough out about basketball to say, this is what you're all doing. This is what they're doing. You can try and use everything in the world, and he will make you psychologically realize you do have hate. And honestly, I think there probably would have been a sexual scandal if there had never been a pandemic or anything else like that, and George Floyd and everything. We would have been moving straight into the wonderful situation it would be probably Nancy Pelosi being caught with him and his wife in some sort of sex scandal and everything, because they had one for each single year, even a kid born out of wedlock on the radio. So they're absolutely left with nothing else but that. That or else a member of the squad, as he was starting to push him off like his Miss America pageant. Honestly, you can say that there is some quotes from Hillary Clinton in places out there, and interviews they gave in upper class areas that didn't really make the mainstream print media. Said the election was stolen from them. The election was stolen because of this, that, and the other. And Donald Trump's just like, I'm saying the exact same thing she said. I'm saying the exact same thing that, 3 or 4 of our Hollywood supporters said. Ended up in a tabloid magazine. He may have said the election was stolen, but he said he did not say anything about that, about doing anything. He said, same thing everybody else said, may there be peaceful protests. I could say that the media was more complicit in the way that it was doing a lot of stuff, that people knew what the speeches were and that they were leaked. And as soon as certain things were said, it was, it was just that. And people, started moving and marching on it. And it's like, that's the honest truth. It's that simplistic. And, it's the same play from the 1960s and the 1970s, whenever they said so many of this side didn't support, so many of that side didn't support. So it's like the will of the people was really with them, so they went with it. Whatever they did, occupying the Grand Mall, or whatever you want to call it out there, by the reflection pool without a permit. And then they all went and said that it was just behind because they couldn't read or write. They showed up with it later. So on and so forth. People are isolated right now. And it's not the pandemic. It's just the fact of war. There's going to be so many people isolated one way, so many people isolated another. And they're just not going to see the other side for anything because of the way that the working situation does. Is it better? Yeah, it's better. We're still around. They'll say, see, it's just the same. It's like, it's really not. It really isn't. You say that Kennedy's the same as Biden. Biden will be such a populist president, whatever will be said will be said. And they'll just go with the flow. The main thing is, they couldn't have had the burning of Washington, D.C. by the British in the War of 1812 without the riot that happened before then, 3 or 4 years before, where they burned the effigy of the president on the White House lawn and showed what the security was. This does play into the hands of the enemy of the United States. It's the only way that you can say that he might have done anything wrong when everything is basically set up with prior legal precedents for basically a guy who got caught and learned after getting caught, probably following you all back in high school, that always had a way to get out and goes, yeah, and actually beat you. And I don't care what that means in another country, just like this one right here. So if you have offense to that, you're probably a foreign national that doesn't have anything, and so's this one. I can sit there and be like with that one, don't be racist to Native Americans. Oh wait, black people, it's all you that's racist, and you have the power of racism, so you can kill whoever is in the country that you don't like, because that's what that edict from President Barack Hussein Obama meant. There's my personal 2 cents for this one, since basically everybody's wanting their personal thing. I don't see how you can do one thing out there under the 25th Amendment to say that he's crazy out there when he's going, you said I was stupid and I'm just doing exactly as you all said. He's got everything pretty much set up. The most open area I can look at is saying Giuliani through there, but again, he's going to push state law versus the other. And see, now they've got the ones where CNN showing them that, yeah, it looks pretty chaotic now, rather than how orderly it was yesterday. And they can say that it's Trump inspired. People have the right to get any banner. He did not issue any banner. He did not do anything with that for it. Even if he makes money off the licenses, he did not issue them to them for anything under contract or anything else. Now, the crazy thing, the 25th Amendment, he can only do so much. Once you're allowed to invoke the office of the president-elect, that's really what lame ducks the president. And as such, the president cannot do almost anything inside Washington, D.C., or most of the other capital areas. He really can't. That's what John Adams did, running for office against, I think, Thomas Jefferson, who was, or whoever George Washington had as hand-picked person. I know everybody's going to go off of me because it's political minute, but once that's invoked, you can't really do much except in the territories and the colonial areas out that, or else like the extreme rural areas, the areas that have nothing to do with the main states. You are very super hampered only with that which is running the office and the budget and going to votes or whatever it is over at Congress and things, and the appointment of vacant cabinet places. Yes, that is the truth of it. And as such, he's sitting back there saying, um, office of the president-elect is in there. And he would say, I don't really recognize it, going by military situations, using the military out there as saying it taught him. And they really have 100% gone through this over and over. And there is nothing that he's not been doing, and now he's recognized President Biden elects win, as he's not allowed to because of the office of the president-elect until now. And all that the Congress is doing is saying that they will recognize and not secede from the Union. Those that have put objections up have said that they may secede from the Union, their counties, or whatever it is. So they're going to be looked under extreme scrutiny by them and their constituents. This is the same process of when they all walked out when Abraham Lincoln was basically elected to the presidency. And they seceded, South Carolina and the others, at the reading of the Electoral College, citing that all the states and representatives would say, yes, we recognize it. They're all saying they certify it. I know it's a different type of language, but certifying means I certify that it's there. I certify that that's what it is. I certify you have my undivided attention that this is what it is. And they're all not leaving like South Carolina did in 60. And they technically seceded under Martin Van Buren, I do believe. Phone's dead, so I probably won't be able to look it up. Yeah, he's gone. Phone's gone. Oh well. Anyway, all this basically comes up to the entire United States is completely disenfranchised from the process of the United States. And it's like, most of all this I had to learn on my own and was kind of like halfway told about it in, 7 to 9 years old in elementary school. And everybody's like, no, you get taught this in your civics class out there. And it's like, no, you get taught colors and emotional feelings and trying to see each other's aura and stuff. And, an undercover cop wants to get thrown out because he's not going to get enough money or something else from one of these people out there, and said that he was going to be hunting animal changers and stuff, and throws stuff on your desk and says that it's cocaine. And the 6 other backups get to stay there because they all said that I was doing lines on my desk. And it's like, I'm deadly allergic to cocaine. Which was, even if it was a joke, should be considered attempted murder by a cop. And, the wonderful Brothers Grimm's family. And, that wonderful Japanese family that likes trying to pretend that they're either one of the Reeves family or someone else because they hunt them, or else the Riva family. Kind of like how the Spanish Masonic Lodge does that, going, we're bringing commoner European to here because it just means Western Catholics, which it doesn't in this country. I mean, honestly, they're white and they should be deported for whatever it is. And there ain't one of them that's not going to say they're not white because they all test as Scandinavian workers or else Russian workers, because they all came over because they felt as Pope Pius is over in Russia. And it's why they act like Eastern Orthodox more than they do Spanish Catholics. But whatever. It's kind of like, black people being exterminated on Magnolia because someone can say they have one Native American ancestor in them. And they're not real black people. And black people don't learn how to build houses because that's why they had their slaves and they sent them over with the whites to learn how to do stuff. I mean, it really is just whatever. Slavery does make the world go around because slaves get free. They know how to build something up and live together. And then everybody wants to come in and demand segregation. And it's just, Cold War colonization. And anything that ever had anything to keeping slaves together for anything, or then going back to their original area and being like, whatever, and getting along, that'll just be destroyed and everything else. And I will totally blame the Roman comedy cult in all of it, because they'll just paint the mask a different color and go, who do you hate? And then they'll destroy Hollywood like they're letting the embedded French people from that principality that Rome freed up. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go and try and do a couple of things on here that's no longer commentary over the situations and everything else, because it's really not moving forward any issue. It's just showing that there's nothing more than everything is planned. It's just smoke going up each other's tailpipes, and the news medias after Donald Trump will crash and have their funding pulled. And we'll be lucky to be only left with C-SPAN, and you have to afford the 100 cable channels in order to watch C-SPAN, to even know what the votes are happening with. And as it is, I would even start looking at C-SPAN with how much incidences like this that they'll never put on there. I want to know how many burned barrels were out in front of libraries. Maybe not the library, but which library was it that they had whatever at. And I know I've reiterated this probably once before. Donald Trump is a Democrat. Why would you ever do Watergate without putting in a person there? And Joe Biden is a Republican. Democrats have always supported the freedom of firearm ownership pretty much more than anyone else since Kennedy. Republicans, they've always limited guns more than anyone else. So I think we'll see Joe Biden limiting a lot of guns and everything. But, back in the 80s when there was something like this, a guy came in and posed with a long gun in the same place. Had the same similar setup and everything else, just not a red shirt and everything, and wore a business suit and was for yuppies. Anyway, have a wonderful day. Like and subscribe. Colin Dawson, Political Minute.